are fabulous in it. Congrats on
Thank you.
everything. I mean, you are a tremendous filmmaker. I am in awe of you, honestly. I just loved this film. It's it's a lot of emotions watching it, but I loved it. You're fantastic, and I'm so happy that you're receiving all the accolades that you are. So Code Bias premiered last year, correct?
2020.
So how are you feeling with this? Like, are you more nervous or less since you've been there before, or just because of the accolades it received?
In truth, I mean, I'm excited that I had the opportunity to go to Sundance because I feel a little sad for my filmmaking team who never had a chance to go to festival and is now experiencing a virtual festival. So I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to go to Sundance in a pre-pandemic world and see my film with an audience. So that was quite a gift. But of course, yes, I'm nervous before the release of any film, and especially particularly this one because of the pace that we made this film, and also because it's such a sensitive, it has so much nuance in the storytelling.
Yeah. What was the pace? Can I add, like, were you overlapping at all with Code Bias, or how long did it take you to make this?
We made it in 2021. So I think
Right
I started
after.
the project in April, and
Oh my God.
so it's fast. It's fast. We started principal photography in June. And so it's been in an incredible breakneck speed to make this
Incredible.
film, but it was really exciting to make.
Now, were there things within your film Code Bias that led you to wanting to tackle this? Or was it something you always wanted?
No, I mean, I think that all my work is sort of an evolution of things that I'm thinking about at the time. And I've been thinking a lot about algorithms and how they impact us. And I'm fascinated by sort of Gen Z and the completely different way that they think about technology. Having come of age online and not really having any idea of what privacy, had never sort of experienced privacy in their lives. And so this film sort of is the culmination of that exploration.
Yeah. How did you go about selecting the people that were featured?
I just have to say, I love my cast. I love the
them too.
people featured in my film. I think the influencers are really smart, savvy, complicated, talented, and really taught me a lot about sort of new uses of technology. And I think I was looking for obviously people who have stakes and people whose lives they've gone on an emotional journey through using TikTok, but also looked for stories that intersected with these larger political themes so that I could sort of grapple with larger themes through the character stories themselves.
The beginning, it really drew me in because I have my whole thought about Gen Z and Instagram influencers. And I have two kids. TikTok kind of scares me. I mean, I'm on Instagram. I have this love-hate relationship with social media anyway, but I really, really was into their stories and really kind of I'm like, oh, I get it. TikTok's awesome. Like, they do all these really great things. It really started me off on, I guess, a more compassionate entry into the world that you were creating in the film. And then, oh wow, it just, some of the quotes that are in there, like, data is the new oil and China's the new Saudi Arabia, or social media influencers being the fourth highest aspiration against elementary school students. Then I went on another, like, oh gosh, what am I gonna do? So yeah, it took me on a lot of feels, but I really appreciated the people you focus on. I thought they were really, really wonderful, and I liked seeing their life. How do you know, as a filmmaker, how that you have enough footage or enough interviews or enough content to make a film? Like what, how do you stop mostly?
Well, with first of all, I just appreciate you, and I think that I totally feel for parents in the position that they're in, and I think Scott Drury, the data privacy lawyer,
Yes,
I
yes.
think he said it best when he was like, I work every day fighting these battles in law, and I can't keep my kids off the app. So
And
I think that is something that everyone is grappling with, and I think that um, in China they passed legislation to limit the amount of time that kids are on the Chinese TikTok version on Douyin, and
yeah.
we haven't yet passed any
Um,
kind of legislation. And so for me, you know, I knew that this was like a very ambitious timeline. And so I had to have some sense of like how to build the story. And what I can tell you is that it was shot in a very concise amount of time.
During the
And
pandemic though, right?
during
Yeah.
the pandemic. And I'm so grateful to my crew for adhering to all of the protocols. And we were all learning to make films in a different context. So my hat is off to everyone who is learning a new set of skills. So yes, I mean, I think that with this particular film, it's definitely abandoned and not finished because it's like how Shelley, not to give away the film, but that the story is not over yet, that these technologies are constantly changing and evolving and have a new story and a new headline. And so I think with this particular film, there just is a moment where they just have to rip it from my hands and say, okay, it's done now, it's done. It's
Yeah.
done now.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed it. What are you most proud of in the creation of this film?
I think that we haven't thought enough about how recommendation algorithms and social media is impacting kids. And I think because of TikTok starting with such a incredibly young, under 14, a third of its users were thought to be under 14 at its inception, it was just a chance to think about the ways in which this technology is impacting development. And what I think is so fascinating is that we literally don't have the research about how this impacts the young mind. And a lot of the tech companies and apps are being developed as if it were sort of working on a fully developed brain.
Yeah.
And I think that that just isn't the case. And what does it mean that we have these very persuasive algorithms? Um, that young people at younger and younger ages are having exposure to them, sometimes with no literacy, ways in which to sort of challenge this kind of way of seeing. And so to me, I'm just proud to be part of that conversation. There are a lot of incredible organizations that are doing great work in the field, but I think it's, when in the 90s, when they were doing work around how to protect children, around commercials and say like, we need to put Elmo separately from the sugary cereal because kids can't tell the difference. But they had this research that allowed them to um, pass that legislation that we have now.
Yeah.
And with algorithms and with things like TikTok, we just don't have the research yet. And, the stuff that Facebook is even hiding from us, Instagram is making teenage girls more depressed and more suicidal. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that we need more research to come out about how this is impacting, especially young people and mental health.
Yes. Well, thank you for adding your voice to this conversation. And thank you for being here today. I've really enjoyed chatting with you.
It was great to chat with you. Thanks so much for talking about TikTok Boom.